The diner had always been quiet on Tuesday nights. Just the hum of the old jukebox, the clinking of silverware, and the smell of fresh coffee. But that night, something happened that would change the life of a young waitress forever. Her name was Emily Carter, and she was about to make a choice that would not only shock her small town but also bring 200 roaring motorcycles to her doorstep by morning. Chapter 1: The Struggle of Emily Carter. Emily was 26, a single mom, and working the night shift at Miller's Diner, a roadside place in rural Nevada that truckers and locals relied on for coffee and pie. Her life was heavy. Bills piled up, her car was barely running, and every night she left her 4-year-old son, Liam, with her neighbor while she worked late. But Emily wasn't bitter. She was resilient. Every customer who walked through the door got the same warm smile, the same hot cup of coffee. Still, behind that smile was exhaustion, and the nagging feeling that life would never change. Chapter 2: The Stranger in Leather. It was close to midnight when the bell above the diner door jingled. A man walked in. Tall. Broad shoulders. Wearing a leather vest covered in patches, chains hanging from his jeans. His beard was thick, his face weathered. On his back was the unmistakable winged skull emblem of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club. The other customers, 2 truckers at the counter and an elderly couple, immediately went silent. You could feel the tension. Emily just smiled. Evening. Sit wherever you like. Coffee? The biker gave a nod and took a seat in the corner booth. Yeah. Black. As she poured, Emily noticed something about him. Despite the rough exterior, his eyes looked tired, almost sad. Chapter 3: Trouble at the Diner. 10 minutes later, the squeal of police tires echoed outside. 2 sheriff's deputies stormed into the diner, hands on their belts. They scanned the room and locked eyes on the biker. You. Stand up, one barked. The biker raised his hands slowly. I haven't done nothing, . The deputy sneered. Don't play games. We know who you are. Hell's Angel scum. The diner fell into silence. The truckers avoided eye contact. The elderly couple whispered nervously. Emily froze, holding the coffee pot. She had seen this before, cops in their small-town profiling bikers, assuming guilt before proof. The biker's voice was calm. Just stoppin' for a coffee, officer. That's all. But the deputies weren't listening. One grabbed his arm, yanking him from the booth. His coffee spilled across the table. Emily's chest tightened. She didn't know this man. But something inside her screamed this isn't right. Chapter 4: The Waitress Steps In. Before she could stop herself, Emily's voice cut through the diner. Hey! Leave him alone. He hasn't done anything. The deputies turned to her in disbelief. Ma'am, this doesn't concern you. Emily's hands shook, but her voice was firm. Yes, it does. He's my customer, and he's done nothing wrong. You can't just harass people because of a jacket they wear. The whole diner stared. The deputies' faces burned with anger. One stepped closer to Emily, towering over her. You really want to stick your neck out for this trash? Emily swallowed hard. Fear clawed at her throat. But she thought of Liam, of the kind of world she wanted him to grow up in. A world where people stood up for what was right. Yes. I do. Chapter 5: The Silent Exit. The biker looked at her with something between shock and gratitude. For a moment, the room held its breath. Finally, the deputies released him with a shove. This isn't over, one muttered, glaring at Emily. Then they stormed out. The biker straightened his vest, then glanced at Emily. His voice was low, almost gentle. Most folks wouldn't have done that. Emily gave a nervous laugh. Yeah, well. I'm not most folks. He nodded slowly, leaving a 20 on the counter. "Name's Reaper," he said before walking out into the night. Emily thought that was the end of it. She was wrong. Chapter 6, the morning after. The next day, Emily returned to her shift, still shaken. The diner was buzzing with whispers. People had heard about her standing up to the deputies. Some praised her courage. Others said she was reckless, stupid for defending a biker. By noon, the diner quieted again. Emily wiped tables, thinking maybe the drama had passed. And then, the ground began to rumble. At first, it sounded like distant thunder. But soon, it grew louder, deeper, like an earthquake rolling in. Emily stepped outside. Her jaw dropped. One motorcycle roared into view. Then another. And another. Within minutes, the diner parking lot was filled with over 200 Hell's Angels, leather vests shining in the sun, engines growling like lions. The townspeople froze. Some locked their doors. Others hid behind curtains. Emily stood rooted to the spot, heart pounding. And then, Reaper stepped forward. Chapter 7, An Unexpected Brotherhood. Reaper's voice carried across the lot. "Brothers, this is the woman I told you about. Last night, she stood up for me when no one else would." The crowd of bikers erupted in cheers, engines revving like applause. Emily's cheeks flushed red. "You didn't have to." Reaper cut her off. "No. You deserve this. Respect." The bikers didn't come to cause trouble. They came to eat. One by one, they filed into the diner, ordering food, laughing, filling the air with stories and camaraderie. For the first time in years, the diner was alive. Every table full, every plate empty. And at the heart of it all was Emily, moving from table to table, refilling cups, smiling despite tears welling in her eyes. Chapter 8, The Sheriff Returns. But not everyone was happy. An hour later, the sheriff's squad cars surrounded the diner. Sirens off, but lights flashing. Deputies stepped out cautiously, hands on weapons. The sheriff himself walked in, glaring at the packed room of bikers. "This place is closed. Now." The diner went silent. Emily stepped forward, voice trembling but steady. "Sheriff, they're just eating. They've caused no trouble. You can't shut us down." The sheriff sneered. "You think these people are your friends? They'll ruin this town." Reaper stood, towering over him. "We don't want trouble. Just respect." The sheriff looked ready to snap back, but then he noticed something. Every customer, truckers, locals, even the elderly couple, stood behind Emily. For once, the community was united. The sheriff hesitated, then spat on the floor. "Fine. But don't say I didn't warn you." He stormed out. The bikers cheered, raising their glasses. Emily's knees almost gave way from relief. Chapter 9, More Than Just a Diner. Over the next week, something incredible happened. Word spread about the waitress who stood up to the sheriff. People from neighboring towns drove in just to eat at Miller's diner. Business tripled. The bikers returned often, not in intimidation, but in friendship. They helped fix the diner's broken neon sign, repaired Emily's car, even bought Liam a brand new bike. Emily realized something profound: people aren't always who they appear to be. The world judged the angels by their jackets. But she had seen their humanity. And in return, they gave her something she'd never had before, a family she could count on. Final chapter, The Message. One evening, after the last biker had roared away into the sunset, Emily sat with Liam outside the diner. He looked up at her with innocent eyes. "Mommy, were you scared of them at first?" Emily smiled softly. "Yes, baby. I was. But then I realized, Sometimes the people we fear the most are the ones who can surprise us.